Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2020 action comedy Love and Monsters, a film that is directed by Michael Matthews and it stars Dylan O'Brien, Jessica Henwick and Michael Rooker. Now this film focuses on Dylan O'Brien's character Joel, who is part of an apocalyptic event, I suppose. There is a huge asteroid firing towards Earth at the beginning of the film that it touches on briefly. Earth fires everything they've got at it, blows it up. However, the materials within this asteroid land on the Earth and then essentially mutate the animals and insects on our planet into huge mutated monsters who devour much of the surface population and driving the human population that is alive underground into like colonies. Imagine Fallout games. A similar kind of concept but without the nuclear holocaust, I suppose. 7 years later, Dylan O'Brien's character Joel, who is still living underground in his colony, is dwelling on his past and in actual fact his lost love from 7 years previously, Amy, who he manages to contact on a radio, and decides that he's going to go on a trip, an 85-mile trip on the surface to get to her colony for the sake of love. However, this is essentially a suicide mission, as not many people are able to survive on the surface, and especially not Joel, because he is not particularly well versed at killing these creatures. Right, so that's essentially the story that we get here. What is my thoughts on Love and Monsters? Well, I must admit, this is a film I was aware was out there, if you like. I hadn't seen a trailer or anything like that. I knew it was out there. I just kind of didn't think it was for me, maybe. However, I thought, well, I'll give it a go, and I watched it over the weekend. And I've got to say, this was one of those real nice surprises of the year for me. A thoroughly enjoyable and entertaining film in every aspect. This is one of those films I think is a shame that it didn't see the light of day at a cinema, certainly getting its full release, because I think it probably could have done quite well. I really enjoyed this film. It was a real film that you can watch and escape into and just have fun with it and enjoy. I thought Dylan O'Brien was excellent and carried this film brilliantly. I haven't seen an awful lot of his stuff. I haven't seen the Maze Runner films. The only film I can remember seeing of his is that American Assassin film he did a couple of years ago, and I thought he did really well at that, trying to shift his career in a different direction. Didn't really work, but what we get here is this charming character Joel that he's playing that carries this film effortlessly. He not only is the main protagonist here, but he also narrates us through the film, so you really feel connected to his character and his reasons for doing what he's doing, especially when you realise that he's actually pretty rubbish at surviving, full stop, which you learn at the beginning of the film. Is really admirable, and you really end up rooting for this character because of this. When he gets on the surface and you know he's going on this really perilous journey, you really are rooting for him. Early on he meets Michael Rooker's character and a young girl who Michael Rooker is looking after, and that works really well too. He ends up being his mentor for a short period in the film, and then they go their separate ways, which was, I understand why they did it, because we need to see him surviving on his own. I really get that, but I was sad to see the end of these two characters, and I was enjoying the interactions between them. He also manages to find a dog along the way called Boy, who is just the most charming thing ever. Now, if this was like an R-rated horror film, you kind of know the dogs are going to get it, sort of thing. It's not like that. This film, it's a family-friendly, actually fun adventure film that is almost in some ways very similar to stuff like Jurassic Park and things like that. You know, obviously it's a different setting, it's a different story and things like that, but it is suitable for families, this film, and I think they pitch it brilliantly, because you do feel they handle the moments in the film where there's real threats here really well. it's a light-hearted approach, but the threat is real, if you like, and they handle that excellently. There are a couple of set-piece moments in the film where he's directly at threat from these monsters, and they handle it really well. I thought the effects, generally speaking, were excellent. There's a couple of monsters that looked a little bit too CGI-y, stroke cartoony, especially as like a crab at the end that fell into that category a little bit. But I thought for the most part, I thought the effects were brilliantly handled and only enhanced the film and the sense of fear and dread that this character had of trying to survive. And his character essentially had a great arc as well. You know, he starts off at the beginning of this film of this almost lowly nobody who can't handle himself. He's only good for making soup, basically, in his colony, to go out on this journey that he goes on, and the character becomes at the end of the film. I thought it was a great arc for this character. So it was a really fun film, this. I can't emphasise that enough. If you're looking, 2020 has been a crap year for the most part. It's been a crap year for movie fans because we've barely been able to go to the cinema. Most of the films we were looking forward to this year have been knocked back to next year and beyond. So for me, to find these nice, lovely surprises have been a real treasure for me this year. There's been a couple of them, and this is definitely one of them. And it's a film I do strongly recommend you all get it, watch it, sit round the sofa curled up with some treats and watch a really fun and entertaining film. And I, for one, hope they do make another one of these, because I would certainly watch it. I really enjoyed this. Okay, it's not for everybody. It doesn't take itself particularly seriously. It's not gory, it's not savage, it's not meant to be any of those things. It's just meant to be a fun, entertaining watch with a real heart at the centre of this story. So 8 out of 10 from me. Really enjoyed it, so get it watched. Right, so yeah, I've now passed 4,000 subscribers, everybody. I'm sure some of you are already aware. I am going to do a Q&A in a couple of weeks. If you want to be part of that Q&A and you want to ask me a question, please feel free to fire it into the comments, and of course I will ask the question if I can, and we will of course get a shout out. So thanks for the support, everybody. I will see you back with more content on Screen Stars very, very soon.